Hey, this is Josh,
Brian.
And Thomas.
and this is Heritage Cycles Podcast, coming at you from Heritage Cycles Bike Shop in Grove City, Ohio.
Which is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio.
Love this. Is this your favorite?
And Columbus is the capital.
Of Ohio.
There we go.
And Ohio is...
The 13th state.
Is it?
I have no clue.
Oh, that's good.
Not
It's
at
on
all.
tape now,
It
so
is
it's
now.
official.
It's permanent.
All right, so this is new to us.
This is new to you.
This is new to you, us, everyone, and we're going to go over real quick kind of what we plan to do with this format here, and if you plan to listen, what you might hear come across these waves
Yeah,
in
we're
your
gonna
earballs.
what you'll probably hear is
A lot of editing.
no, you're not gonna hear that part because we have a master editor. He has all kinds of knobs.
Steve.
We'll hear about it, though.
Yeah, you'll probably hear about it. But we're gonna talk about bicycles, bicycle related things,
Culture.
lots
Cycling culture in general.
culture. We all ride bikes in one form or another, and we're gonna give you kind of helpful tips about our experiences and hopefully help other humans have more fun with their cycling adventures. We're going to have a little bit for everybody. I hope if you're a beginner or if you're a commuter or a racer or if you like to just go ride with your kids on bike trails or around the neighborhood, go get ice cream, any of that stuff. We hope to have something for everybody, as well as we're going to throw in some tidbits about the history of bicycles.
Our name is Heritage Cycles, kind of literal for Josh and his lineage.
And all of us.
Yeah, so we're kind of big on that sort of thing.
Well, everybody had a bike when they were young.
Yeah.
If they didn't,
Hopefully.
then they wish that they did.
If you didn't, I'm sorry.
Yes, the heritage behind the name of the podcast and the name of our shop is really important to us. It's a great thing to pass on to your kids, and hopefully you got to experience something bicycle related with your parents or as a child, and you can pass that on to your kids or the next generation. So that's really all encompassing of what the shop and what this podcast is going to be about.
What else are you going to hear about?
We're going to do some reviews on products.
Lots of reviews. We own a bike shop.
Yep, we got lots of stuff. We put it through the ringer, especially Thomas. Right, Thomas?
Yep.
Thomas rides lots and lots of miles, and he breaks bottom brackets and wears out brake pads and stretches chains like no other.
And give you all my money.
Yeah, and he gives us all of his money. We'll also talk about what's going on in the industry.
Interviews. We know a lot of interesting people.
Yeah, and I'm sure through this we're going to meet a lot more people that other folks like yourselves would like to hear about.
I'll interview you.
I'll interview you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't even care.
what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the grand scheme of things.
Well, we'll give a lot of advice, I think.
A lot of shop stories will be good to tell.
Yeah, we'll do shop stories, but a lot to do with advice on if you're getting into cycling or if you want to, or if your great Aunt Gina is trying to get into cycling, what advice you could give her.
Is your aunt's name Gina? Because that's probably the third time you've referred to Aunt Gina.
No, but Brian's aunt is named Gina.
Okay.
Not really.
Now I understand.
Not really at all.
Sister-in-law. You have a sister-in-law named
I
Gina.
do. Hi, Gina. You won't listen to this, but if you do, how you doing?
I think also in giving feedback to our listeners, we might be able to have you guys ask questions and send them to us so we can answer certain questions that you guys would have.
Free advice is what we like to do.
Yeah.
That way we can kind of answer more direct questions instead of things that we maybe have questions about.
The history of cycling and the history of bicycles. That's another big topic that we'll probably touch on quite often. So maybe we'll talk about when the first bicycle was invented and how it evolved throughout the last few
100
centuries, 100 decades.
And important people in said time frames, like good old Sturmy. He's pretty good. He's a cool guy.
Yep.
Gary Fisher.
Yep.
He's in there.
John Boyd Dunlop.
Schwinn's in there.
Yep. There's
They're all
lots
part
of
of
folks. They were very important in
the bicycle as you know it today.
as the bicycle, in the bicycle as you know it today.
I got your back.
Thanks, buddy.
Today, this podcast is just going to go over who we are, what we do, how we came to be, maybe some of our cycling habits. You have 3 different levels of rider here. I would be the lowest of the leveler. I ride only in fair weather, no rain, no cold. Yeah, well, yeah, I just
Get some fenders
and,
more.
and I like to ride on the paths a lot more than I do road. And then you have Josh.
You do have me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they do.
Yeah, I'm next level up
Mm-hmm.
from Brian. I commute. I've commuted for years by bicycle. I love it. I think it's very beneficial to ride a bike to work rather than drive a car if you can. I don't have very far to commute right now, but I ride as much as I possibly can to run errands, take the kids to school, fit in a bike ride just about any way possible that I can, just because I have 3 young children, own a bike shop. Time is
Do a podcast.
do a podcast.
You still do thousands of miles a year, though, wouldn't you say?
You think so?
A few thousand, maybe?
I don't count very much anymore. But
Yes, you are.
probably 1 to 2,000.
You don't use a computer, and you
I have a
just get on-
computer. I mostly use it for a watch, to
yeah.
see how late I am to
that's
open
just-
up the shop every morning.
That's just the kind of rider you are. You just get and go. You pay no attention to time or speed or.
I do, but I know that I don't really want to as much as I do. So I go on a long ride and I do pay attention to how fast I'm going and how many miles I go, but I do make a conscious effort to not really put too much thought into letting that determine how I feel about bike riding. And that's probably mainly because I don't really get out and ride a whole lot as much as I would like to. So we do weekly bike rides, group rides from the shop.
Sometimes multiple a week in the good weather months.
Sure.
For you fair weather riders.
Yeah.
Right. And I do get a little bit on the performance side of things. I try to go a little bit faster, try to get the heart rate up a little bit. I don't monitor my heart rate at all, but I do try to push myself and get some sweat rolling a little bit more so than I used to.
Thanks, Josh, for all that information. We're going to move on to Thomas now, who is the king between us 3 of the miles and the riding and the most extreme, crazy son of a bitch.
That son of a bitch. You
So
look outside
crazy.
and he's riding by. I mean, when he's supposed to be at work.
Hey, man, I ride for work.
Right. So Thomas rides to work, from work, at work, and then
And for work.
and for work.
And any other time in between that I can, honestly.
So he puts how many miles did you put in last year?
I think
Not that that's
I think it was 8,500, and
Just
those
give him an idea of.
all commuting, all through work. Just a lot of extra fun rides. Kind of getting on the gravel kick recently. That's been adding a lot of miles too.
3 different types of riders.
Something for everybody.
Something for everybody.
I wouldn't call myself a beginner, but more of just the laid back kind of rider, I guess. I don't know. I'll get out and do 20, 30 miles on a Sunday morning more than, you guys like to ride the roads and stuff, and I'm just
Recreational.
yeah.
You're a recreational
definitely.
rider, I would put you in that category for sure.
I don't enjoy the ins and outs as much as you guys do. The parts and pieces and specs on my bikes are stock. They don't have anything aftermarket on them, even though I am co-owner of this bike shop. But yeah, so.
But you do have multiple bikes.
I do. Well, of course. Of course I have multiple bikes.
There's a great feeling replacing those stock parts. though.
Yeah.
You'll get into that one day.
So if you ride a little bit, somewhat, or a lot, there's going to be some good tips, some stories. We'll do some review some gear on whatever you want.
yeah,
and,
we've put lots of gear through the ringer, especially Thomas. But we
rides in the snow and the rain all day, every day.
Road salt.
Yeah,
Your
all
best
that
friend.
stuff. So about 20 years ago, Josh and I met, became friends. Along the way, he really got into cycling for practical purposes, which turned into sort of a love and a hobby. For me, it was he recommended it to me to help with my fitness goals and journey. Eventually, he worked at the local co-op and saw a bunch of trash I'm piling up, didn't want to throw away.
Yeah, so I worked at a few different shops. Also worked for the local bike share here for a couple of years, and Brian and I have always kind of kept in touch, and we've always talked about maybe starting a new business together, and we never could really pinpoint exactly what that business was going to be.
It had to reveal itself to us.
Right. So I've always been big on recycling and not throwing away things that could be used for other things, and kind of a crafty person, I guess. And we started developing some things out of used bicycle parts and selling them on Etsy under the name of Outspoken Creations. And
I think it's still there. The shop's probably closed, but Facebook page I think is still there. Well, yeah, so we started making that stuff, started doing some T-shirts and things, started doing some designing of logos and whatnot, and needed a place to eventually do it all.
And it all just kind of snowballed into this
a full-service
bicycle
retail
shop.
bike shop.
Because I was a mechanic. I've been a mechanic for years, and I've had experience working in bike shops. The whole snowball just kind of turned into this 1,100 square foot space that we now call Heritage Cycles.
I literally brought nothing to the table other than willingness to do whatever it took to get it going.
Well,
We never owned a business. We never did, and I still work full time elsewhere. So basically, while working there, and Josh working his job at the bike share, did all the paperwork and all the nonsense to bring this to life here.
A lot of the stuff that I'm incapable of doing. And Brian also is, he's my best friend, as I've said before, but he is amazing at developing confidence in other people. So that's what he did with me, and that kind of helped. That was like, the other half of the bike shop. So I kind of had all of these ideas, and it was really hard. I'm a very scatterbrained person, and it's hard for...
That'll come through.
Yes, as it is right now, because we're going to go off topic lots of times.
That's what's going to make it fun, though, is just all the side streets.
Right. So Brian kind of helps ground me, which makes us great partners. I have a little bit more of the creative side, and I have these ideas, fleeting ideas, and I spill them out at Brian, and
I let them all roll until he says a good one, and then I go with that one.
He gathers them. Like, maybe this podcast is one of them. So.
Yeah. I think it is one of them, yes. Yeah, so of course, everything started from scratch. We did our own logo, name, branding, all that stuff. Ended up turning out decent, I guess. We've been open, it'll be 2 years this Memorial Day. We had no idea if we were going to fail in a month or 2 months, but still open, still people coming in every day, and hopefully going to be here for a while. Hopefully doing this podcast for a while if someone wants to listen to it. Thomas, he came.
Oh, yeah, Thomas.
I got the 8% beer.
He came. We hired Thomas. It was about a year ago in January, this past January or February, sometime.
March.
He came in, volunteered his time until he learned what he needed to learn to make his time valuable here.
Which it is.
Yeah,
he's so much.
Saved us. We are, like I said, I do not work here, but Josh and Thomas run this thing. Josh full-time, Thomas part-time. It somehow works. We get slammed and
just got to pull those long nights, man.
Yeah, get it done. Yeah, we will be drinking through all these podcasts, so we'll just keep you updated on what we're drinking here, because Josh and Thomas are like a bunch of weird beers. I'm more of a normal beer drinker, but
he calls them weird, but they're kind of normal for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm drinking a Fat Tire. That's about as
we'll get them there.
About as
where's the Coors
IPA as I go.
We're slowly.
It's not even an IPA.
We're slowly adapting Brian to like hops, so we just drop a little concentrated hop.
I just like to drink. I just like to drink 6 beers instead of 2. Is all.
We're beer missionaries, Brian. Yeah. We're here to convert you.
We have a brewery right across the street from the shop. You look out front and you can see its tanks and everything, and that's always fun to go over there and drink their beer. And actually,
Grove City Brewing Company.
Yeah, they let us go brew a beer. We called it Golden Spoke, and it was a Imperial honey wheat beer, and it was magnificent.
It was a beer that we could all agree on. Yes. It was pretty good. So
yeah,
it had some hops in it.
It was hopped up, and it was like 7% alcohol too.
Yeah, so like honey chunk they put in there.
It was technically a craft beer that you thoroughly enjoyed. So
I like craft beer. I like craft lagers.
Well, see, there you go.
Yeah,
don't hate it.
I love it. So the majority of our customers and our sales and the bikes we deal with are going to be your me kind of riders, the neighborhood.
Sure.
But even I don't live in a neighborhood, but the cruisers,
Recreational riders,
Yeah.
and not the enthusiasts.
hybrids. Yeah, not a lot of racers coming through here.
We do cater to enthusiasts, of course, but the majority of our customers have department store bikes that are falling apart almost sometimes a couple days after they purchase them, and said department stores will not take them back for return, so they bring them here to get repaired, which is unfortunate for them.
Fortunate for us.
Unfortunate for
Thanks,
us.
Walmart.
Yes, thanks. We did think that was going to be a big issue coming into a community where there is a Target, a Kmart, a Walmart, a Myers, and Dick's. So we popped in the middle of this community where everybody is used to buying department store quality bikes. So that's what everybody has in the neighborhoods.
We're slowly changing that, though.
We are. We're slowly changing the minds of the people in the community to realize the quality of the bicycle is important. If you want to have fun riding, you want a bike.
This is your first lesson, people. Write this down.
the bike that you're going to purchase, you probably don't want it to fall apart immediately after you take it out of the parking lot of the department store. So we try to educate our customers on the importance of quality versus quantity, and when it comes to bicycles.
So, being we are in Grove City, we'll be talking quite a bit about what's going on here in Grove City. A lot of it will probably go hand in hand with what's going on across the country, but
and other small communities.
Yeah, small communities like this. I think there's 37,000. We are in the middle of the downtown.
Big small town.
Yeah,
is what I like to think of it.
We'll be going over, the paths are being built around here, which they are constantly being built. Our mayor is a cyclist himself. Didn't he own a bike shop? Didn't that?
I think he
had a stand in his driveway or whatever.
Yeah, Mayor Ike. He worked on bikes when he was a youngin.
Yeah, so our community is prime for these bikes to come through.
Holds an annual bike ride every year.
Every year we ride. We bike with Ike.
Well, yeah.
Until you lose him.
So it's kind of
he will lose you.
Yeah, he'll just keep on trucking.
You'll find a shortcut and beat him to the end anyway.
That's what we did last year, isn't it? I mean, I guess you could look at our small community as a microcosm of the community, the cycling community as a whole. And as our community goes through changes, I'm sure you can expect the rest of the country to go through the same or similar changes. Right now, the majority of our small community consists of the cyclists, which is myself and Thomas, who's trucking by on our road bikes, and there's a few other commuters here and there, but the majority of people are riding to the park with their kids, going to go get ice cream when the weather's nice. Most of the time when I look out the window of the shop and I see a cyclist, they're on the sidewalk. It's an adult.
We'll talk a lot about that.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that and how and why that probably isn't a good idea.
On paper, it doesn't seem like it, but can be more dangerous than riding.
For sure, it's very dangerous.
All right, well, so this will conclude podcast number 1. We skipped a bunch of stuff, and it'll all come out eventually. This is just to get us going, get you going, kind of put something out there. 10 episodes from now, we'll be way off track.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun.
It's going to evolve as we go along, and hopefully you join us along the way. We're going to have fun, and hopefully you do too. Heritage Cycles Podcast.
Over and out.
Yeah!